Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all good. Hope you all had a very enjoyable weekend. The sun was shining here in London, which makes a difference, I'm assuming, to everybody's mood. It certainly makes a positive difference to mine. So yeah, I hope you all had a good weekend. Just before I get into today's video and discuss the topic that we're here to discuss, just want to quickly remind you that if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Chronicles of a Gooner channel as we continue on the road towards 20,000 subscribers on this platform. Also hit the like button on the video if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts on the subject we're about to discuss in the comments section below. Okay, let's talk about the announcement. Arsenal are to raise season ticket and match ticket prices ahead of the 2022-23 season by 4%. Now, it's been the world's worst kept secret. We've all known that this has been coming for quite some time. We've all known that this was a step that Arsenal were planning to take. And, you know, in the past, when Arsenal have raised ticket prices, I've moaned, I've complained. In the past, just comparing Arsenal's prices to some of the other clubs in the Premier League, and in some instances to clubs that have been more successful than us on the field, we've moaned and we've complained, and rightly so, with good reason. But I just think, given the circumstances here now, today, given that the cost of living in general here has increased quite substantially, and I'm not just talking about you know, going to football or going out for meals and things like that, you know, social activities, leisure activities, whatever you want to call them. I think it's a problem that we have here in the UK across the board. And if we're talking about the level of inflation that we're talking about here in the UK, that we're probably going to see over the next few years, that all the kind of experts are forecasting, I don't think it's outrageous that Arsenal have increased the price by 4%, taking into consideration people are talking about an 8% inflation rate. So I think this was something that was always coming. It's something that's always been on the cards. As I said, we've heard murmurings and whispers about this for quite a number of weeks now. So I'm not surprised by the announcement in the slightest. And in truth, although in an ideal world, I don't want to pay more money to go and watch Arsenal. I don't want to pump more money that could be going on supporting my family, paying my mortgage, looking after myself. I don't want more of that to go into paying for football tickets. But it's something that we have to live with. It's something that we have to deal with. And as I say, it's an issue across the board in the UK. The cost of living, I've noticed over the last sort of few months, has dramatically increased. And that's partly because of the pandemic. You know, Arsenal could have quite easily come back from the pandemic, and when we were allowed to bring fans into the stadium, they could have quite easily gone, well, we need to raise the prices, and they didn't. You know, they've waited, they've held on, they've held fire, and now we're in a place where I think the club probably feel they have no choice. So it's not ideal, it's not great, but I don't really feel like it's something to be outraged about. Now, with high ticket prices come high expectations. And over the years, one of the big criticisms that's been leveled at Arsenal is that, well, we charge some of the biggest ticket prices in the land, therefore we should have a team out on the field that, you know, produces at a standard and at a level to kind of mirror that. You know, we pay the most to go watch football, therefore we should see the best football. We pay the most, therefore we should see the best players. And I get that, but there are a lot of factors as to why Arsenal tickets cost so much in comparison to some of the others that people probably overlook quite a bit. In years gone by, when people have talked about Arsenal's average season ticket price being £1,100 or whatever it was, people have said, well, you know, that's outrageous. Look at Tottenham's, look at Chelsea's. Those clubs haven't always included cup games. And Arsenal have always included cup games. If you think back to before COVID, we used to get up to 7 home games, which could be spread across European competition and, of course, the FA Cup. The Carabao Cup, the League Cup has always been separate to that, and we've always had to buy tickets. But Arsenal have subsidised those costs, and we've been paying, if you're lower tier like myself, £10 a game for a Carabao Cup tie, which I think is very reasonable. We've also been told today that Arsenal are going to continue to subsidise the cost of away tickets for our fans, keeping them at £26. So that's another positive thing that Arsenal have done, I think, to try and mitigate the kind of reaction to this. Also, we've been told about the work that is planned at Emirates Stadium over the summer. We know that the roof needs fixing, and that's something that they're going to be spending a big amount of money on. We also know that there's going to be refurbishment done in other parts of the stadium, including the outside of the ground, which looks washed and it looks worn, and it's definitely something that needs to be done. So I'm not happy about it. who wants to pay more for something that they used to get cheaper? Nobody. But I think this was something that was always coming, and I don't really think this warrants the outrage that I'm sure we're probably going to see on social media over the next few days. I had this conversation with a friend of mine earlier on, and you know, they said to me, well, of course you wouldn't, like, you're less bothered than me because you don't struggle to afford it as much as I do, which I thought was a little bit like, oh, come on, I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm just saying that if the cost of petrol has gone up, which it has, if the cost of food shopping has gone up, which it has, if the cost of energy has gone up, you know, my electricity bill has pretty much doubled since December. If you're talking about all of those things going up, it's only natural that Arsenal are going to have to raise something somewhere to kind of make sure that the deficit between what they're earning and what they're kind of having to fork out is closed as much as possible. We know that Arsenal are going to report big losses again. You know, you can't expect any business that is struggling to or is not producing the kind of results that it wants in an ideal world to, you know, have ambitions of making that balance sheet look much more healthier without expecting them to take some form of action. And I think this is what Arsenal, you know, have decided is the right way to go. Again, you know, is it ideal? No, it's not. But I think you're probably going to see moves like this across the board, and at least with a lot of clubs who are in similar situations to Arsenal when it comes to our finances. So not outraged, a little bit disappointed. Arsenal making the point that they hadn't risen ticket prices and that they'd frozen them for a number of years prior to this announcement, which is obviously a fair point as well. But I think it's just the way of the world at the moment. You know, it's not something that I'm going to get on my high horse about and rant and rave about. Fingers crossed in that price increase. You know, some of that is partly because we're in the Champions League next season. That would be great, wouldn't it? But it's just, you know, particularly here in the UK, and I can't talk about what it's like in other countries because I don't live there and I'm not as close to it. I don't understand it. I don't know what the landscape looks like. But the cost of living here has dramatically changed, I would say, in recent months. And I think that it's going to get worse. And so to see Arsenal make this move is obviously a bit of a kick in the teeth and a bit of a blow to someone like me who, you know, has other responsibilities but doesn't want to give up going to Arsenal, doesn't want to give up attending football matches. It's obviously not ideal, but if I said I didn't understand it, I'd be lying. And I think that, you know, when we react to things like this, I think what we're guilty of doing, particularly as the Arsenal fan base, is going one way or the other. There'll be people that it doesn't really impact them financially who go, well, I don't give a shit. It's what I want to do. I'm going to go to the games. And there'll be others who take the complete opposite end of the spectrum where they're upset about it and it has an impact on them. And I get that. But there's always this group as well who are probably not affected as much as they make out, yet want to be on the negative side of it. And I'm very wary of jumping onto negative bandwagons when I think that there is justification for what is happening. And I think, as I say, the cost of living and the rising costs that Arsenal Football Club would have on a match day justifies or warrants Arsenal making a move to try and kind of recuperate some of that money back. So not ideal, but I think it's something that probably was always going to happen. And what's the use in being outraged about it? I hope it doesn't impact people too much. I hope that there are plenty of you, you know, who can find that extra 4% so it doesn't interfere. You know, I'll be, you know, working that a little bit harder to make sure that it doesn't impact me. But it's one of those things, right? It's the way of the world, and unfortunately, I think things are going to be difficult here for a little while. And if that's the decision that the club has made, then there's not an awful lot we can do about it other than kind of take it on the chin. At least try and be reasonable about it and understanding of the reasons, even if we don't agree with it, even if we don't like it, and focus on what's going on the pitch. Because although we're talking about the 2022-23 season and how that impacts us then, there's so much to play for between now and the end of this season. There's so much to be optimistic about and positive about. Let's not let this derail the mood at Arsenal at the moment, because it is really good, really positive. And I'm really enjoying being an Arsenal fan again, more than I've enjoyed it in the last decade. So, you know, let's stick to the positivity. But yeah, that's the news. Arsenal are going to raise the prices of match day tickets and season tickets by 4%, while still subsidising the away tickets, still subsidising the Carabao Cup stuff, and of course, with a view to doing some extensive works at Emirates Stadium over the course of the summer. So, is what it is. Isn't ideal, but I get it.